Hi friends, it's Terri Gaines. In this video tutorial, I'm going to share a fun technique using the Sunflower 3D embossing folder. What I'm going to do is emboss the crushed curry cardstock. I've cut this to be 5.5 by 8.25, and I placed it in between the folder. Then I close the folder. Then with the Stampin Up cut and emboss machine, you have platform 1. I'm using the 3D embossing folder, so I have platform 1. I put the folder on here, and then I put plate number 4. Run this through the machine, and it is going to texturize this cardstock. I saved some video time, and I did that ahead of time. I don't know if it shows that beautiful 3D image in the video, but it works out really great. Well, the technique I have is this. I consider the front. You turn it over on the back side with the divot part is where I'm going to color in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Stampin Blends, and I have Granny Apple Green, light and dark, and I have Pecan Pie, light and dark. What I'm going to do is take the brush tip, and I'm going to color in these images. I'm going to hold it up closer to the camera, and can you see the leaf images? So I'm going to color in that with the Granny Apple Green. Now the blends come in light and dark. As I mentioned, I have both the light and dark here. It's got a brush tip and a bullet tip. I like using the brush tip. My advice is just to barely touch the cardstock and the ink is going to flow out. If I don't like to hear scratching. If I hear scratching, I know I'm damaging the tip of this bristle, but actually these are consumable products. They're not going to last forever. At some point when you have to push hard enough to get the ink out, and it's that might have been the next leaf over. I got a little distracted there. When you start having to push so hard and it's scratching, then it's just telling you that it's drying out. But when my brush tip dries out, I can usually get more ink from the bullet tip. So I'm going to color in some of the greenery with the dark Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to color in some of the greenery in the leaves in with the light. So I'm just going to go back and forth and color those in. Now with this technique, you don't have to be particular. I do try to get up the side of the wall. So I'm going to do that for all the greenery on this piece of cardstock. And then what I'm going to do for the center of the sunflowers, I'm going to take the light Pecan Pie, and that's going to be around the outside. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to let the ink go up the side of the embossed image. And you don't have to be real particular. It's going to be very forgiving, this technique. So I'm going to color the ring part of the center with the light, and I can hear scratching, and that's kind of because it's such a rough surface too, and I am trying to go fast. So I'm going to just show you how I color this whole area in. And the blends, I love them. I have been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for over 29 years. In January, it'll be 30 years. And I will tell you that before Stampin' Up! Came out with the blends, I never colored in. I don't like coloring in with markers. I'm not a good watercolor, so I never colored in. And now with the blends, I tend to color in a lot more. I just love them. So the center of this, I'm going to color with the dark. So there's a little bit of two-tone there. And I'm actually going to go over the center again, just to get it a little bit darker. Now I cut this pretty large. If we went smaller, maybe I would keep coloring the whole thing in to show you all of that. But just envision that, keep continuing to color in the greenery, the center of the flowers. But because I use crushed curry, you do not have to color in the petals. So here is my piece that I've done earlier just to save some video time. I've got the light and dark Granny Apple Green throughout the area here. And I can see some white space there or some crushed curry space. I'm going to let it go. And then I did the two-tone for the Pecan Pie. And all the rest that's left would be background and the petals of the sunflowers. So now what we do with this technique, you want to make sure you cover your work surface. So I have scratch paper here, and you need your memento ink pad. Now, what I'm going to do is take my memento ink pad, turn it over, and go directly on here. And I'm going to go in a circular fashion, and look at how that magic. It is adding ink to the raised part of the image. Now it is filling in part of the petals. That's okay. It's the look you're getting. And I am just making a rotation here so it can fill in the area. Look at that. That's like magic. Now I could go in and fill that in a little bit more. I'm going to say that's good. So look at the difference. Here's that starting point that I had here, and look at how that turned out. Absolutely love how this turned out. I'm going to give this a moment to dry, and then I'm going to stamp the sentiments for this card. I'm going to cut this down. With this piece, you can get 2 cards for the layout that I'm going to do, or you could actually design it differently and get 3 per that section. But what I'm going to do is first stamp the sentiments for this card. So the sentiments I'm going to use are from the More Messages stamp. This is one stamp, and it has all of these sentiments. It's like a background stamp. Now I took this cover out so it doesn't glare on my video, but I actually take it out. It fits right in here. I'll actually take it out. I keep my stamp on here. If you have one of these big blocks, you can do that, use that. I just like leaving it right in the case. Then I'm going to take my memento ink, and I'm just going to tap. I'm going to tap on here. Now when I tap, I'm not getting it all covered. And this is a felt pad. It's harder to push in to get ink below the surface. But when you stamp, you actually only want your ink on the surface of your stamp. That's going to give you the best image. So what I'm going to do is just tap, tap, tap. Look for all the edges. Those are the ones that tend not to get covered. I'm going to take this that I've got cut ahead of time. I'm going to place it down. And then I'm going to take a clear block. I take a clear block instead of using my fingers to get an even pressure to make sure that the ink makes contact with the cardstock. And I'm hoping I didn't shift anything and get blurred images. We'll see how it worked here. And there we have all of those images stamped at the same time. Now to clean this, Stampin' Up! Sells these chamois. I cut mine into quarters, and once they, this here is in a sealed bag when you purchase it, but they're like a chamois. They're going to dry out, and then you just get them wet again, and they do stain up, and that's just the nature of them. You rinse them in the sink, but what I do is I just pick them up and clean off my stamps, and then I can rinse this in the sink. I do store it in a clear case. I can put this cover back in here, and that is all set to go. Now, there is a die that you can buy, and it is bundled. You can get the stamp by itself and the die by itself, or they're together for a 10% savings. What you would do is take this die, lay it over here, take your stack up. Let me grab my platform again. For this, it's a die, so it's platform 1, it's plate 2, it's 1 clear plate, your paper to cut, your die, and what I probably would do is put a Post-it note down on this. I like using these Post-it notes I get at the Dollar Tree. They're transparent. I just cut in to get little tabs. And then what you can do is just make sure you get everything lined up. I usually look at opposite corners first, and then look at the other corners. I would put a Post-it note down, hold that in place, run this through the die cutting machine, and I did that ahead of time. You're going to get all of these different images cut out in the different shapes. It's amazing. And now you have all of these images, and I'm going to grab just one of these for the card. This card's going to be super simple, and I think the beauty of the card is just this fun technique. So what I'm going to do is bring in my paper trimmer. I gave this a little bit of time to cut. What I have for my cardstock is my crushed curry. I already cut a piece of black cardstock. I have this cut at 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm going to cut this down to be slightly smaller than that. And I am going to trim the edges off. I'm going to get a clean cut on the edge. So I'm going to cut that off, and I want this to be 3 5/8 going in this direction. And then I want it to be 4 7/8 going in this direction, and I have plenty of extra because this started out to be 5 1/2. Just going to make some clean cuts on the edge. And this is Stampin' Up's trimmer. It's got a cutting blade, and then the light gray is a scoring blade. And the arm extends out for your larger papers. And it works pretty cool. So I wanted to layer this on the black and then onto the crushed curry. Just love how that technique turned out. So let me put some of the Stampin' Seal across the back here. Going to look at opposite, oops, did I forget to put it on that side? I'm going to look at opposite corners, and this I just have a 1/16 of an inch on the edges just to get a little bit of that black to pop out on the edge. Going to adhere this to the crushed curry. Now this gives me a 1/4 inch. I wanted to pop out that crushed curry a little bit, and then we'll take this sentiment, and I'm going to use a couple dimensionals. And as I mentioned, I'm going to keep this card really simple. Whoops, I pulled the backing off. Take my Take Your Pick tool, and now I think I'm going to put this right here. But isn't that a fun technique to do with that embossing folder? And just a few products. You got the memento and a couple colors of the Stampin Blends and your crushed curry cardstock. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. If you're interested in any of these products, I have them listed on the bottom of my blog post and also in the bottom of the text portion of this YouTube video. Reach out if you have any questions. Take care and happy creating.